Hello children, today we shall start with our chapter 5, that is the periodic table. The periodic table of elements. So what is placed in this table, children? These are various elements which are grouped together and they are given a particular place in this table. And why do we have to do such a thing? Why do we have to organize elements into periodic table? We do so because it helps us in various ways. That is, knowing how many electrons are present in that atom. It helps us to show how the element is going to react with some other element. So a lot of information is taken into consideration before tabling the element into a periodic table. Let us see how it's gone by. So first of all, why do we have to have a periodic table, or why do we have to table the elements in a periodic table? So what's the reason for such classification? One is it helps us studying the elements in an organized manner. It helps in correlating the properties of elements with the fundamental properties of all states of matter. Then it helps in defining the relationship of one element with another. So a lot of study can be done. When you know the trends, it helps us understand large number of concepts knowing the periodic table. Initially, Dobrynaya was the first person to have started any kind of tabulation or classification. He had come up with the concept of triads. According to him, he placed elements in triads, that is in groups of 3. Like we can see an example here, chlorine, bromine and iodine were placed in one triplet or as one triad. And why were they placed together? According to him, bromine, that is the center element, had average atomic weight of the first and the last, that is chlorine and iodine. So he managed to make 4 such triads. So what were the disadvantages of this? Among the known elements, he could make only 4 triads. So that was, he could table only 12 elements, and the other elements could not fit into his classification. So that was a major disadvantage of Dobrynaya's triads. After Dobrynaya, it was Newland who came up with his law of octaves. He arranged elements in order of atomic weights, and there was a periodic similarity in every 8th element. So he proposed his law of octaves. This law is called law of octaves because as we have the musical notes, that is do, re, mi, or you can say sa, re, ga, ma, pa, after the 7th note, we again come back to the first note. So similarly, the element showed the same periodic property after every 8th element. So he placed the elements in a table as we can see on our screen. Again, he had some shortcomings into this table. Like if you can see the table, the negatives or the demerits of his table was because of some reasons or because of no space, he had to keep cobalt and nickel together. We can see it on the 4th row, in the 4th column right on top. Then the next column, the 5th column also, we see that many elements are placed 2 elements into one cell itself. So 2 elements in one slot were placed by him. So this was one of his demerit. And then he could not show periodic properties after a certain number of elements. So according to his tabling of elements, many more elements that came into existence could not be tabled. So the advantages or the merits of Newland's law was that it helped to detect a periodic pattern in the properties of elements, and this classification went a long way to develop better systems of classifications further. And the disadvantages were that this held true, the periodic properties held true only till calcium, and Newland assumed that only 56 elements existed in nature, but many more elements were discovered whose properties did not fit into the octaves. And also, as I mentioned, in order to fit elements into his table, he adjusted two elements in the same slot and also adjusted some unlike elements under the same slot. So the law of octaves worked well only with the lighter elements. So after Newland, it was Mendeleev who came up with this periodic table. Mendeleev also placed elements in the increasing order of its atomic weights. And this was the structure of the table that he had developed. The elements that we can see in pink were later added on to Mendeleev's tables. They did not exist in the original Mendeleev's table. But Mendeleev had a foresight, and he had assumed that the empty spaces which we can see in pink were later generated. They were later discovered and added to the table. Let's see the merits of Mendeleev's periodic table. The elements were classified on a more fundamental basis of their atomic masses and properties. Empty spaces were left vacant to accommodate the elements to be discovered in future. It could predict the properties of elements which helped the discovery of new elements. The inert gas elements discovered later could be placed in a separate group without disturbing the table. The disadvantages of Mendeleev's periodic table. So what were the drawbacks of his table or his classification? First one, isotopes have separate places in his periodic table. Isotopes are the same element, but it has different mass number, but according to him it would have a different place in the periodic table, although being the same element. Next, some elements having higher atomic masses were placed before elements having lower atomic weights. Noble gases had no place in his periodic table then, but again it was later added into a new column. Elements with different chemical properties are placed in the same group while same properties are placed in different groups. So since there were the basis of the table which was based on atomic masses, many things had not worked in his favor. All these things were taken care of when the modern periodic table was made. So what were the anomalies of Mendeleev's periodic table? It was the position of isotopes and position of anomalous pairs. So some pairs which did not match. So based on the prior studies by different scientists, the modern periodic table was generated. The modern periodic table consists of 7 periods and 18 groups. The 7 rows are called the 7 periods of the periodic table. They are named as period 1, period 2, period 3, period 4, period 5, period 6 and period 7. So each row is named by the number. Similarly, every group is also named by its number. So we have group 1, group 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on till group 18. So these are the elements of the periodic table. If we can see some elements that are placed down below in the grey color. These elements are called the inner transitional elements. They are also called the F block elements or inner transitional elements. The elements which cannot fit into this slot here, because if we had to fit these elements into the periodic table, we would have had a lot of cells, a lot of slots that would be empty, and that is why an extension is given here below, an extension is given here below, and the elements are placed in the extension below the periodic table. These are the inner transitional metals. So we just look at the periodic table. The periodic table is divided into 4 parts. The periodic table is divided into 4 blocks. This is called the S block elements. S block elements. These are called the P block elements, SP. The elements in between in orange here are the D block elements, and these are the F block elements. S block elements, P block elements in the extreme right, D block elements in the center, and the elements below are called the F block elements. The S block elements. The S block elements consists of group 1 and group 2 elements. Group 1 elements are called alkali metals and group 2 elements are called alkaline earth metals. The P block elements. From the P block elements, we are concerned with group 17 elements. These are called halogens. The group 17 elements are called halogens and group 18 elements are called as noble gases or rare gases. So these are the 4 groups that we need to study this year as well as next year. So we are interested only in group 1, group 2, group 17 and group 18 elements. Next. As discussed, the horizontal row of the periodic table are called periods. The vertical columns are called groups. The elements in the same group have the same physical and chemical properties. Now, metals are seen on the left side of the periodic table. The left hand side of the periodic table consists of all the metals. The metals have properties that they can get oxidized easily. Metals have high affinity for oxygen. They also react with acids to release hydrogen gas. So as discussed, the elements that we can see here in the green color, okay, they are marked with the red boundary. These are all the metals. They are on the left hand side of the periodic table. We only see one non-metal or one gas, that is hydrogen, that has a place on top of the metals, or that is placed in group 1 and period 1. Others, these all are metals here. Next, non-metals. What are non-metals? They are placed on the right hand side of the periodic table. What are the properties that they have? They are either gases, or they are soft solids, or they are liquids. So let us see them in the periodic table. Okay, they have various range of chemical properties and reactivities. They have a tendency to gain electrons. Metals have tendency to lose electrons and non-metals have tendency to gain electrons. So on the periodic table, we can see them bounded in the red color here. They are on the right hand side of the periodic table. They are present on the right hand side of the periodic table. These are the non-metals. Also, we have one non-metal that is placed here, but it shows chemical reactions like metals, and that is why it is placed with metals. What is the speciality about hydrogen being here placed in the alkali group? It is placed with all the alkali metals because it shows reactions like alkali metals. Next are metalloids. Metalloids are separated from non-metals in a zigzag or a staircase shape elements in the periodic table. These are properties, metalloids are those elements which have properties intermediate or in between metals and non-metals. So they are neither totally metallic properties nor they are non-metallic properties. They are intermediate, in between. So the elements now what we can see bounded in red, they are the metalloids. So it starts with boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic and so on. These are all called as your metalloids. So their properties are in between metals and non-metals. Now the chemical groups or chemical families. We have to study only 4 groups as I said. The first group is called alkali metals. Now alkali metals react very easily with water, and they can also react very easily with halogens. What is the physical property of these metals? They are shiny, silvery. They are found in nature as compounds. Why they are found as compounds, not in original? Because they are highly reactive. Sodium, potassium, these are the elements which are present in that. They are so highly reactive that you will never find sodium in its pure state. Whenever you take a piece of sodium, and even if it is exposed to air, it will convert to sodium oxide. Why it converts to sodium oxide? Because it is very, very reactive, and metals love oxygen. They will react with oxygen to form a oxide. The next we have to study is the second group. The group 2 is also called as alkaline earth metals. Alkaline earth metals. Now these are less reactive than group 1 metals. They are also silvery, shiny. They form compounds that are often insoluble in water. So they generally form compounds which are insoluble in water. So those hydroxide which are not soluble in water, so they are called as alkaline earth metals. The next we have to study is group 17. The elements of group 17 are referred to as halogens. These react very easily with alkali metals. So halogen, that is group 17 elements, react very easily with group 1 elements. Why? Group 1 element has 1 electron in its outermost orbit. It is waiting to lose that electron. Whereas group 17 elements are deficit of only 1 electron, means they just want one more electron to complete their octet. They have 7 electrons in their valence shell. So they are looking for that 1 electron, and that is why they have high reactivity with group 1 elements. Physically, the physical properties of these elements is it is poisonous in nature, and second, it exists naturally as compounds. Now these also are very reactive, and hence they are generally found as compounds. And now last is the group 18 elements. These are called noble gases. These are inert. They are stable and unreactive. Why they are inert, why they are stable, is their octet, and in case of helium, its duplet is complete. So they are not in want of more electrons, nor do they want to give, nor do they want to receive, and hence they are chemically inactive. Physical properties, they are colorless, odorless, they are gases at room temperature, and they do not form compounds. So what is the special character of group 1 elements, or that is alkali metals? Alkali metals have 1 electron. They have 1 electron or 1 valence electron in their outermost orbit. And all the elements of group 1 try to attain a noble gas structure or a noble gas configuration. So elements like sodium, magnesium, aluminium, which have atomic number 11, 12 and 13 respectively, they try to lose 1, 2 or 3 electrons to gain the noble gas configuration of neon. That is 2 electrons in the first orbit and 8 electrons in the second orbit. So they try to get a noble gas configuration of neon and maintain or gain stability. Now let's see the trends of periodic table. So we see that on the left hand side, as we go down the periodic table, the reactivity increases. Now why does reactivity increase as we go down in the periodic table? It increases because as we go down in the periodic table, 1 shell is added, 1 orbit is added to the atoms, and that is why the electron in the last orbit will be still further away from the nucleus, and this increases the reactivity of the element. If we compare sodium and potassium, potassium has 1 orbit more than sodium, and hence potassium will be more reactive. Why? Because the electron, the valence electron, will be further away from the nucleus and can easily be lost. So the trend says that the reactivity increases as we go down the periodic table. But on the right hand side of the periodic table, the reactivity increases as we come from bottom to top. That means fluorine. Fluorine will show more reactivity than chlorine, and chlorine will show more reactivity than bromine. Now this is for the same reason, because fluorine is a smaller atom. The nucleus and the valence shell or the last shell is at a lesser distance than that in chlorine, and that is why fluorine is more reactive than chlorine. But when we talk of the atomic sizes show the opposite trend. The atomic sizes decrease. They decrease as you go from the left hand side to the right hand side of the periodic table, and it increases as you go from the top to the bottom of the periodic table. So it decreases from the left to the right, whereas it increases from top to bottom. That is the atomic size. So let's summarize what we have done today. We have seen the Dobrynier's triads, we have seen Newland's law of octaves, we have seen Mendelev's periodic table, and we have seen the modern periodic table and some trends in that. So I hope that this chapter is clear. Thank you.